Tonight I'm going to show you a few more flowers that flower in mid and late summer, and do a few cuttings. There's been a few inquiries on making cuttings and when and how to make them, so I thought I'd do those in the latter half of the program. To start on, I did show a Banksia last month that was an orange one, and today I've got the yellow one, Banksia media. Now, Banksia media is a low-growing shrub, so 2 to 3 metres, and does spread quite a bit too. And it's probably one of its main attributes, apart from the fact that it has these lemon yellow flowers, is that it flowers for nearly 6 months. It starts now and goes right through to autumn, right nearly till the end of autumn. You can see the small buds there forming now, so you've got flowers now right through all that time. It's got a very bright green shiny leaf, small lanceolate serrated foliage, and it's just a very good shrub. And again, one of its main features, apart from all others, is there's a 6-month or nearly a year-old Banksia plant. In its next year and a half, it will, from this juvenile Banksia here, it'll produce those flowers like that. So in 2 years, it would be definitely the quickest flowering Banksia in a shrub. It produces those flowers in 2 years, so it's a very good one, and it'll grow in all soils. It comes from the southern half of the state, but it does very well in our Perth sands and laterite conditions. There's been a few more inquiries and a few problems on this particular one, Grevillea Robyn Gordon. But firstly, I've got to admire the fact that it, even though it's a hybrid from Queensland, it's doing exceptionally well in Perth. A lot of the promotions over the years haven't done as well. I've previously spoken on Captain Cook. It's not, doesn't do as well as anticipated, but this Grevillea does exceptionally well. It grows 1 metre high and 2 to 3 metres across in Robyn Gordon, and it flowers. This is its worst flowering in the year, so you can see it really is a good one. It flowers all the year, right through the year. But one of the main reasons, there's the flowers, and one of the main reasons why I brought it in, the inquiries are on this. One is, on these spent flowers, do you cut them off, and when to cut them off? This one here is getting absolutely no water at all, so you can see it's a lot more firm than the flowers that previously showed. So yes, those old flower stalks there, you do cut off. You don't have to cut them off, but if you want them more lush, the plant more vigorous looking, you don't have to water it. By pruning, you can achieve the same thing as watering in the summer. If you prune a plant, it'll come away with lush growth. So yes, you could prune it right back, large tip prune it, and a little bit like a bottle brush, and you'll find that it'll come away a lot quicker. And the other one was, the stems go grey, sooty-like, and almost like black soot on the old wood. So there's no problems there. That is okay. It's not a virus or a fungus, so you don't have to get in and spray it. It's perfectly okay. So the only thing I'd say there is I would encourage pruning the Grevillea Robyn Gordon if you have one. That is if you need it. If it gets a bit woody looking, get into it fairly hard. Now from that one, one of our lowest growing bottle brushes would be Beaufortia squarrosa. It grows to 1 metre high and about 1 metre across. It grows naturally from the north of Perth. Grows in a sandy and in a laterite situation, so it's very adaptable. Will grow in all soils again. In the sand, it would tend to grow 1 to 2 metres. In a heavier soil, in clay or laterite, it would stay quite low at about 1 metre high and 1 metre across. Produces these little half bottle brush flowers in almost a bright red. There are orange forms of it, so over the years you'll find there'll be plenty of selections in coming along in that one. Again, a pruning after flowering would enhance it, as all its buds and flowers are on the new growth semi-hardwood there. A light pruning after flowering would keep it down if required. You don't have, as I said, you don't have to get into it. You can do it if you require it. Another local one that grows north or all around the metropolitan area is Calytrix fraserii. Now, Calytrix fraserii has these little pink star flowers, sometimes confused with the Star of Bethlehem, Calyptasia cyanea. But this one is Calytrix fraserii. There's the botanical name. No common name there, so you have to jot them down. Calytrix fraserii. Grows to about 2 metres high, metre to 2 metres high, and about a metre across. Not very spreading at all. It's a really attractive one. It's one of our better summer flowering pinks in Calytrix. So there's an interesting selection of flowering varieties, and I just thought I'd mention said each month I'd try and mention a eucalypt, though not in flower. This one it's a mature foliage, Eucalyptus krueseana. Now it comes from out the Goldfields way. It only grows into a shrub style, not into a tall tree. So you could treat this mallee as a shrub. And there's a lot of our mallees you can treat as shrubs, like up against the cover of the back fence, and you can prune them as hard as you like. And that one there you can see is an excellent vase picking piece. So you don't have to always go for flowers. You can use that one as a background in a vase. So that one again is Eucalyptus krueseana. Now on to making cuttings. The first thing I thought I'd show you is when collecting cuttings or flowers, most people tend to collect them in a plastic bag, and unknowingly they sweat. So the correct thing to do is to wrap them in wet newspaper, not in plastic. So if you put them in wet newspaper, wrap them up, make sure you submerge the newspaper, really wet, saturate it, quite a few pieces, and you'll find it acts like a blotter. It really is. And if you wrap them up quite tight, it doesn't matter if they're quite tight, and you'll find that they'd last at least 3 days if you're collecting in that style. You can put them in, then you could put it in a plastic bag, but just even if it's in a box, a cardboard box, you'll find that they'd keep 3 days. Or if you want to longer, just keep the newspaper wet, and you could keep them up to a week. And when you open it, you'll find that they're quite fresh in there. So don't be disappointed when you are transporting flowers. That's quite fragile flowers too, in newspaper. That's in the heat, because the flowers, once you've cut them, they start dehydrating straight away. So now on to, assuming you've collected them and got them fresh, you've got to keep cuttings fresh quite all the time. Now there's quite a wide range of varieties you can cut from, make cuttings from all of these. And generally it's just the eucalypts and the wattles that you can't. So pretty well everything else you can make cuttings. Now the time to make a cutting is after flowering or in flower. Well, obviously if it's in flower you'd find it a lot easier, because that's when people like them. But take the cutting above the flower. See there, take it above the flower, about 2 inches. You could take the very soft piece off, strip it about a third of the foliage off there. Now the hormones you put it in is soft hormone for the very soft piece, and semi-hardwood hormone for the next piece. So starting, say, from this piece here, the soft piece on the tip would be a soft hormone, then the next piece down would be semi-hard. So you're going soft tips, it's self-explanatory there. Soft hormone for soft wood, hard hormone for the harder wood, and you just pop them in like so. The main thing with cuttings is as soon as you've done a pot, say assuming you're doing this one here, you take the flowers off, then you've got your cutting there like that. About 2 to 3 inches there. Yes, the main thing in doing cuttings is that as soon as you've done is to water it. Same as when you're putting a plant in the ground in the heat. You've got to put water on it and get all those air bubbles out like a puddle, and you'll find that they work on a capillary basis. Even this Banksia here will grow from cuttings. This is Banksia occidentalis. You just take that fine tip off there like so, and you find dub it into a bit of hormone. The hormone speeds up the root growth like so. So there, assuming you've watered it there, and you're putting a plastic bag over it to keep the moisture in, put a lucky band or a piece of string around it, put it in a semi-shaded or on the veranda of the house where it's shaded, or in the shade house, and you'll find after about 4 to 6 weeks you'll get roots on them about like so. Here's some that I've pulled out to show you the root formation on them. That's a smoke bush there. It's a verticordia or Morrison there, and you can see they even produce flowers straight away. And the idea is you're taking adult wood, you're taking mature wood so that it will produce flowers straight away as soon as it's ready. Now, once you've pulled it out of there and it's got roots on, you take, if it's got any flowers or new growth, you take that off, take some of the roots off there, put it into a normal pot and water it straight away. So the key thing in that is keeping them wet or moist all the time so they don't dehydrate. And you can do that with many, many varieties. It doesn't matter what varieties, you can produce it. Another thing there, if you've only got that much root there on, say on that smoke bush, you can take most of that foliage off and it won't dehydrate. So when you pot it up, put some water on it and you'll find away she'll go. So there's all the hints on growing them from cuttings. Now you can do it right throughout the year. Obviously in the summer you have to apply this method. In the winter a lot of species you wouldn't even need the plastic bag. So it's obviously it's the more heat, the more you have to look after them. One variety that is seeding at the moment is the West Australian Christmas tree. Now there's the seeds there. You can see they'll be a lot drier than that when you go out in the bush. You collect them off there and put them just in a pot, and you'll find you can sow them any time of the year from now on, autumn into winter, and there's about 3 months old seedlings. So you just pop them straight in the ground in a shrubbery and away they go. It's as easy as that. There's no problems about growing it. And to end today's program on is probably one of our best shrubs or light climbers in Billardiera pictus. Grows about 1 metre high and 1 metre across and is a light climber. So that's a very good one. So there's a good selection again. Till next time, cheerio.